Hey guys, welcome back to Watch Trading Academy, and today we are going to be talking about something that has been all over the internet, right? I don't know if you've been paying attention to what I consider to be Rolex news, right? But I want to show you something because this has been a pretty big conversation in the last few weeks because they have just announced that Rolex is launching its certified pre-owned program. And so I have been getting nonstop DMs and conversations on Instagram regarding what do I think about the fact that Rolex stores, ADs, people who have never even thought of selling a watch that was used, now getting in the entire pre-owned market by offering to basically buy watches and sell them used to customers at market value. So this is a pretty big deal, and I'll tell you why it's a pretty big deal and who it's going to impact the most. So most people would argue, well, wait a minute, why would Rolex do that? Like, it doesn't make sense for them. Don't they want to sell enough of their new stuff? Well, first off, the majority of Rolex watches are already sold out in most places. Now, while you can still get Rolex watches, you're still not able to get them like you used to 3 to 4 years ago, where you could walk in and they had 10, 15 different options for you. You would try one and walk out with the one you want. That's basically been done for quite some time. So there is a need for Rolex to buy its product back, and especially because the industry as itself is like almost like a $20 billion industry for the used watch market. So Watchbox, Govberg, these guys have been killing it in this space for quite some time. So I think, manufacturers are noticing that the majority of their watches are also going in the hands of resellers. They've said time and time again that we will ban you, we're looking for these watches, we want to see where you're listing them, what you're doing, how you're doing it, because if you're doing that, we're not going to sell you new watches. And then we know for a fact that many ADs have behind the scenes deals with these resellers, and they're giving them, like, they're basically getting kickbacks for selling these watches to resellers. And sometimes ADs lose their license, sometimes people realize and kind of give them up and whatever, or they scam you into buying a bunch of jewelry in order to get a watch. I mean, there's so much crap going on that is unregulated in the industry that it just makes sense for Rolex to basically find ways to try to hurt or stop individuals who are reselling their watches on the used market. So I think they've done the single best thing they could do to incentivize stores and ADs to actually want to sell these to end users. And so it made sense for Rolex to start buying back their watches. And I'm going to tell you how this is kind of going to work out, or why it's going to make sense in the long term, even though people may wonder, like, is this really going to help or not? First off, Rolex needs inventory because it has foot traffic in key locations at ADs. It just doesn't have a way to make sales. So it needs inventory, and it knows that. Secondly, it needs to stop getting resellers to buying its product and reselling it for a premium brand new, because it's competing with the store, and more importantly, it is also taking away end users from enjoying their watches, and it's making their watches unreachable. So it's almost like, in a way it's good because people wanted more, but in another way it's bad because a lot of people are saying, I feel ripped off. So it's creating this really weird dynamic where it isn't able to basically incentivize the stores, because the stores want to move units, and the stores also want to get paid more when they see what these watches sell in the secondary market. I mean, we're talking about a 35K watch selling for 70K. That's a problem for people, and they see that and they go, well, why should we get that reseller to basically get that 35K extra? Why not us? So how will this change, or will they actually start reselling watches they're used or not? Well, I'll tell you a couple of things, because a lot of people are panicking right now, having a lot of speculation about how will this play out, what will happen, will watches come back, etc. And we need to understand something. To look at Rolex pre-owned levels, we need to clearly understand how the exotic car community works. And this is one of the reasons I teach both Watch Trading Academy and Exotic Car Hacks, and how these two platforms literally come together, even though people don't understand why I'm the watch guy and the car guy. Well, it's all the same thing, because I'm the money guy, and those money flows in both sides. But there's a lot of correlation between the groups. Now, if you've previously never understood what I teach here at Watch Trading Academy, or why we're talking about watches as a means of trading or making money or investments, you can click the training in the description, and I'm going to break down for you step by step how to get started trading watches with as little as $1,500, access to a post office, and a computer. And then 2, if you're already ready to join our community and learn how to do this by committing, and of course joining the rest of our members who are killing it in the game, just click the link and join Watch Trading Academy. It's not that expensive. It'll help you. You'll make money. You'll figure it out. Anyways, so back to this and what I was saying. Think about the exotic car industry. What happens now? There's 2 types of cars. There is highly desirable branded cars, like not any Porsche, like not a Porsche Boxster, but like a Porsche 911 GT2 RS, a Porsche 918, a Porsche GT3 RS, the latest and greatest, right? Or a special color. There's those kind of cars. And then there's everything else the brand sells. And everything else the brand sells is basically like the Boxster, the base 911, the Cayenne, and all this stuff. So that's basically if you're a Porsche dealer. You know your key inventory is basically that premium stuff that sells for more used than it does new. So you know that. But you also know you're governed by the laws of the franchise that you agreed to operate, that you will sell cars brand new, in most cases, at MSRP, right? Now, obviously, over time, you found ways around that to charge some kind of market adjustment, whatever. You talked it over to the franchisee and you can't. But Rolex can't. But the dealer sometimes can, sometimes can't. So for the longest time, exotic car dealers, when they couldn't do that because the markets just didn't call for it and they had to sell things at cost, would have a really interesting way to do this, because they knew that if the cars came back used, they could be sold for that premium, even if they sold them new at a lower dollar. So how would they guarantee that the cars would come back? Well, the only way they would offer a newer car, a newer version of something exciting to that customer, were only customers that were bringing cars back. So an example would be if I bought a really rare 911 GT2 RS that I was given from the factory at $330K for the sticker price that was going like for $450 on the used market, then what I would do is I would drive this car and the dealer would say, listen, if you bring this car back and trade it back into me, I'll give you your money back. But I'll also let you order this next GT3 RS that's really popular and it's also going to be highly desirable. But if you sell this car on your own and make the profit, I don't really see an interest in giving you new cars because you're basically flipping your cars. And even though you don't have a restriction on flipping, you have this opportunity to earn your next car because you do want to use it and you're excited about having the latest and greatest, but you just don't want to lose money because there's money to be made. So if you let us make the money, we will go ahead and basically let you get this next car. Now, they did this for a while and it worked really well. The majority of people were bringing back, and that's how they kind of generated that people were indeed end users who were interested in the product, not interested in the commerce of it. And so that became the pivotal part about how dealerships made both the money on the front end and the back end. Now, they even got clever by doing other things, such as, guess what? I'm going to let you order a GT2 RS, but you're going to buy this GT3 RS and you're going to leave it here. Basically, you order this car, you're never going to take delivery. You're going to let me give you the paperwork as if you signed for it, but then there's no miles that go on it. And since you didn't want it, you're funding this, but we're going to sell this used for $100K over sticker. And then when that sells, we're going to give you your money back and the right to basically pick up your other car that you ordered, which is obviously on its way in 6 months. If it doesn't, then we'll let you trade that back in at MSRP to us in 6 months anyways. So you have to carry the note on this so that now it's a used product, even though it's never been used, and it's being sold as a used product, so I can charge whatever I want for it. So there were so many tricks they used to basically get the consumer to have skin in the game by either buying something and forcing them to bring it back, or basically funding something and forcing them to title it in their name in order to be able to sell it used, even though they never got to drive it. So we know used cars dealers have been doing this, so it's pretty easy to see what's going to happen in the Rolex model and why this made perfect sense for ADs, because all they're doing is basically taking a cool watch and they're saying, listen, if I sell you this Rolex right now and you are going to wear it and enjoy it for like 6 months, 7 months, what other watch do you want? Hey, I really want a platinum day-date. Well, I'll tell you what. If you give me back this Daytona when the platinum day-date comes in, then I'll give you the platinum day-date instead of calling someone else. Now, why does that make sense? Well, it brings the most valuable items back, and it allows Rolex to make the AD, not Rolex itself, the AD to make its money on that product and no longer have to wonder if that product is going to end up resold somewhere. So this is a really bad thing for gray market resellers, like really, really bad, because it now incentivizes the store to no longer sell to them and instead sell to people who are going to bring these watches back And ultimately, by bringing them back, they're going to allow Rolex pre-owned to make that extra margin rather than the guy in the front end. So the only reason the AED previously gave these watches to a reseller is because the AED was getting a kickback on the back end by these resellers saying, hey, here's 5 grand, here's 10 grand. And this money, because I made 30 grand on the watch, I threw you back something because you gave me this knowing I was going to resell it. So the game was AEDs couldn't get paid from selling these watches at a higher premium than the MSRP. So where they started making their money were these kickbacks. Well, by doing this and introducing and allowing them to get the watches back, it is now in both their interest and Rolex's interest to sell watches to end users. So these end users will now have to bring these watches back in order to get new, cooler allocations. In the past, you could have had 10, 15 watches. Now, they're not going to care about all their watches, of course not, nor do dealers. Ferrari dealers don't care about every single Ferrari out there. They only care about the hardest to get best cars. So their angle or their opportunity really is in that realm more than anything else. So that is what you have to kind of consider and understand when it comes to this game. And it is that they have single-handedly, with this move, if they can execute on it properly, have gotten rid of these gray market guys that are getting watches brand new from ADs. Now, it doesn't mean that gray market dealers are no longer going to exist, but here's where it gets interesting. Remember, gray market dealers made a ton of money because their basis in the watches were just MSRP. If you remove that basis and force gray market dealers to buy inventory at face value or wholesale face value used, not from an AD anymore, you're lowering their margin significantly and are forcing them to basically become watch traders instead of gray market dealers. So this is going to be very interesting how this plays out in the next year, 2 years, as new supply enters the market. And remember, Rolex, Patek, and AP all increased their supply chain by like 10-15% for the next couple of years. So you're going to see more watches appearing, and it's going to be very interesting what this does for the used market. Either it's going to stabilize the used market even more and not create this constant influx of down and up, or it is going to create an incredible opportunity for the market to settle back down closer to MSRP and only allow the right watches to really be worth more money, because there still is a supply issue across the board with some of these watches. If someone once asked me and said, why is it that you believe in certain Patek models, RM models, or AP models? It's because I told them I'm freaking rich and I still can't walk in a Richard Mille boutique and buy a 400K watch, even though I have the money to do that. And very few people in the world have 400 grand to drop in a watch. And I still can't do it because it's not out there. So if the supply's not out there and a rich guy can't get it, how are normal people are expected to get these watches? Well, they can't. So as long as I can't walk in an AP boutique and get an open work, as long as I can't walk in a Patek boutique and get a 5990 1R, and as long as I can't walk in an RM boutique and get like something like a beautiful 7201 Rose by just walking in and paying for it, then the watch market will always be dictated by the supply and demand, and supply significantly is killed compared to the demand for such watches, regardless that you're playing at 10K, 100K, or $1 million. So this has been my analysis of how the Rolex pre-owned program will completely reshape how gray market dealers exist now and why they're panicking. So make sure right now you like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and of course, leave in the comments and let me know, what do you think? Is my analysis accurate, or am I crazy and gray market dealers will always find a way to get their money? So love to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you next time on another video for Watch Trading Academy.